So, staying with Abyssinia, Professor, and let's talk about one of the Prophet's intimate companions. And his name is obviously Bilal, the first muezzin, or the one who gave the call to prayer. And of course, it's speculated that he most probably came from Abyssinia, which is now modern day Ethiopia. And at the time, Arabian society was probably quite racist, but you made it a point in the book to highlight the Prophet's stance against racism. You call it anti-racism as opposed to being a non-racist. Would you be able to try and define these two terms? What you mean by somebody who's a non-racist versus somebody who's an anti-racist? Yeah.
Sure. So it's quite similar in many ways to the tolerance versus pluralism thing. So tolerance is a good thing, but it's standoffish. It doesn't ask you or require you to do anything except a general kind of acceptance or status quo. And non-racism is quite similar. It's a good thing. To be a non-racist is a good thing. Probably want more of those type of people in the world. But it's also just that. It's just someone who holds these kind of these views, which are good, egalitarian, democratic, however you might want to put it. But with pluralism, it's energetic. With anti-racism versus non-racism, again, it's energetic. That word anti suggests maybe that someone is working towards combating something, right? It takes effort, to engage, to alleviate that social problem. So Muhammad was both, but again, striving more towards the how can we actually push back against racism rather than just condemn it. There's two different things. Like you can condemn it with words or actually try to liberate people. And that's what he did with Bilal. He literally did it. He worked to purchase Bilal's freedom. But more importantly, and I'm not even sure, Omar, you might know better than me. I'm not even sure if I wrote this in the book, but I often say this now in talks. Like the best thing that Muhammad did for Bilal was not just merely freeing him, ending the shackles on his wrists, cutting those off, but Muhammad worked to create a society and a community that allowed someone like Bilal to maximize his potential.
Yeah.
The differences between those two levels is huge.
Right.
And I'll give you an example, even from the American perspective, like Civil War, right? So Civil War ends in 1865.
Right.
The slaves are already free, but now they're like really free, right? Within a larger country. And then you see Reconstruction happen, right? So like they're free, but all these things are put into place to keep them down.
Right.
So Muhammad had an understanding for like the bigger picture, that it's not just enough to say, let's get this person out of a bad situation. Instead, he's saying, yes, let's get them out of a bad situation, but let's actually make sure that they're moving forward and that they're being successful and that they can maximize their potential.
Right.
So that's why he's a great leader, because he's not just ending something like, slavery.
Yeah, correct.
Or just condemning it. He's allowing people to maximize their potential, and that's so important.
Absolutely, and I think that you've really you made a very wonderful comparison here, Professor, because as you rightly said that this American Civil War ended in 1865, but it still took another 100 years, and the political activism of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X to really try and get full civil rights for people of color in the U.S. And with regards to the Prophet and Bilal, he didn't wait for Bilal's people to wait another 100 years to get full rights. He did it instantly and helped him grow. And I think that's a really interesting comparison that you've made.